So if that's an easy button to click, Amari, go ahead and click it. We are now live? Okay. Well, if you're just joining us live, we have now completed all 3 presentations from the Athletic Competitive Recreational Sports Management, Champions Park of Newberry, and RAD Sports. The commission is finishing of the notes that they took on those 3, and we are moments away from entering into public comment. Absolutely. That's why you have, we're going to take public comment first, then we'll close public comment, then the commission will enter into deliberations, and then they will finalize their score sheets after the public comment and after one more chance for the commission to ask any questions. All right, has everybody had a minute to fill out their scorecards and finalize their notes? Okay, we'll open up the floor for public comment. Does anybody have a comment they'd like to make? Please make your way to the, don't be shy. We will ask you to state your name into the microphone for us so we have it for the record.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Maria Kelly, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Mike Spina as a parent of a travel ball player, but also as a community member in the city of Newberry. As a parent of a travel ball player for over the past 4 years, I have participated in baseball tournaments in a variety of venues across the Southeast United States. I can personally attest that Mike Spina has created a venue at Champions Park that is organized, safe, efficient, responsive to player and parent needs, and also clean. In addition, as a physician, I can also attest that I have personally witnessed safe and appropriate first aid to unpredictable yet expected baseball injuries at Champions Park. I am also impressed with Mike's leadership of the park's significant transformation. He took an underutilized baseball venue that was hot, underventilated, underutilized, with poor sight lines, children and parents hated playing there, and transitioned it into a venue that is open, ventilated, has better viewing to watch your children actually play, and now attracts teams and tournaments from across the Southeast United States. And my child has played there quite a few times. This transformation and his leadership of the park is what has created the Champions venue as really one of the preeminent sites for travel baseball tournaments in Florida. Now, as a citizen of Newberry for over 10 years, I know we all want Newberry to be successful, and our city has really emerged as a leader in sports recreation. Champions Park for travel baseball, Easton for archery, we have Gatorback for motocross, and I think it is imperative that we continue this positive trend. To accomplish this goal, we need to have recognized names with connections in the industry that they're serving in critical positions, and ideally, those people need roots and ties directly in our community for the longevity and the sustained commitment that we all want in Newberry. We have seen what unsuccessful leadership can do for this venue. We have already watched this park sit unused, the wood rot, for years before Mike took over. Mike came in, a Newberry citizen with a strong connection to the baseball world, and recruited baseball, softball, and recreational ball tournaments almost immediately. He brought in recognized leaders such as the USSSA, Perfect Game, and Baseball Youth, that's baseball, I'm not as familiar with softball, to host tournaments at Championship Park. His leadership brings visitors monthly from across the Southeast United States to boost our local economy and highlight our wonderful city. So in summary, I hope you will recognize that Mike Spina has demonstrated successful leadership of Champions Park. Despite his self-acknowledged obstacles and the expected growing pains of taking over this facility, he has created a successful venue and a positive reputation for Champions Park. I ask that you remember all of these points as you make a difficult decision tonight that could risk returning our city down a suboptimal leadership path when Mike Spina has already proven himself as a successful leader of this venue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other public comment? Welcome.
How are y'all? My name is Sarah Beck. I am speaking on behalf of Champions Park and my support of both Mike Spina and Trip Norfleet. I myself am a business person in this community. I have voluntarily served on various boards and committees throughout the community, including being chairman of the Personnel Committee at First Baptist Church, Alachua, member of the Children's Committee at First Baptist Church, Alachua, secretary of the Meridian Behavioral Healthcare Board of Associates, and secretary of the Santa Fe Babe Ruth Baseball League. I have also served on the Irby Elementary PTA and SAC committees, the Alachua Elementary PTA and SAC committees, the High Springs Community School PTA, and I've taught first and second grade Sunday school at First Baptist Church, Alachua. I say all of this to highlight how important community giving, hard work, and family are to me. When it comes to the operations of any business, organization, or committee, I believe it is important to keep these values at the forefront of your decisions. Firsthand, I have witnessed Champions Park and the operators exhibit these characteristics throughout our community. Champions Park has supported local youth in the last 3 years of the Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show through their presence at the annual events held each year in March. Champions Park has not only been the buyer of several local 4-H and FFA members' livestock, they have also generously given add-on donations to our area youth and their projects. As for the facilities, and from a baseball parent's perspective, and having played in many ballparks around the state and the Southeast United States, I have never been in a better run facility or cleaner facility than Champions Park. In fact, we often text back home how great it is to play at Champions. We are fortunate to have it right here in our backyard. The park boasts traditional values during baseball tournaments and has the feeling of family when you are on the premises. The fields and facilities are maintained beautifully, and the operators take pride in this upkeep. When it comes to baseball and networking, Mike Spina has connections throughout the country. This, I firmly believe, has contributed largely to the success of the park being run by anyone else. Since he and Trip Norfleet originally took on, has contributed largely to the success of the park. I cannot imagine the park being run by anyone else. You will not find a more dedicated and hardworking group of people than those that have cared for and flourished this park to what it is in the last 4 years. Cars being parked down Southwest 30th Avenue due to a sold-out tournament was unheard of prior to Mike Spina and Trip Norfleet assuming operations. Again, speaking volumes to their commitment to the community, hard work, and family.
Thank you, ma'am.
I fully endorse Mike Spina and Trip Norfleet as operators of Champions Park. I believe there is no better candidate at this time to manage the park, thus contributing to the continued economic growth and development that this park brings to the city of Newberry and the surrounding areas.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. Any other public cart? Mr. Clark, did you get it figured out who's going first? Yeah. Okay.
Good evening. My name's Scott Rutherford. I'm the Assistant State Director for Florida USSSA Baseball. You guys have a very hard decision. Those were 3 very detailed presentations, and as a guy that does this for a living, I don't envy you in the decision you have to make. I don't know the guys from RAD or ACR, so I can't speak to them, and I won't try to. I do know Mark Burford. I think he was here a minute ago. But other than that, I don't know anything about them or their organizations or what they do. I do know that USSSA is the leader in the state of Florida, not by a little, by a lot. We started the relationship with Champions Park several years ago on a phone call that I received from Mike Spina. After 1 week of a tournament up here, I wasn't sure I wanted to continue it. I wasn't sure he knew what he was doing. I wasn't sure the park was going to succeed. But I can tell you several years later, Mike has called my phone, texted my phone all hours of the night asking my opinion, wanting to get his finger on the pulse of travel baseball in Florida. Continues that up for the last 3 years. Literally every week I get a text or a call from Mike, and when we're in tournament season, it's 3 or 4. We constantly go back and forth. I can speak to that. Mike wanted to learn the business, and the business today, as opposed to it was back then, totally different world. And I don't want to do business with anybody other than Mike Spina. And the reason is Mike wants to learn the business. Mike wants to understand why it's not smart to run a tournament the week after one is run in Lake City. He wants to understand why teams won't play back-to-back weekends. He wants to understand obviously, during Gator games, during the fall, we're not going to get a lot of tournaments. I think the Gators have 7 or 8 home games this coming fall. We're only able to do, I think, 2 or 3 tournaments this fall up here. Mike wants to understand that. 4 years ago, it made no sense to him or I. You know, we didn't understand the Gator Nationals was a big deal up here. I'm not from here, I'm down south. So it didn't make any sense why we couldn't get hotel rooms. Actually, Mike taught me that one. So I sat in my state office meeting this morning down in Sarasota with every state director. And I can tell you that every state director that knows Mike gets the same phone calls and emails that I do. None of the other presenters has reached out to anybody in the state of Florida to ask us what the trends are, what's going on in the state of Florida. So I explained to you this because it sounds like maybe there were some issues in the past with communication. I heard Commissioner Lanzer say that. I know for a fact that this group back here is learning. They're wanting to learn. They love the city of Newberry. They love this park, and they want to make it successful. I can speak on behalf of the Champions Park group that I believe that they can do it, and they have the relationship with USSSA to back. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the comment. Other comments? That's a lot of sheets of paper you got there, Mr. Clark.
You told me I had 35 minutes. Commissioner,
Miscommunication.
Mayor, City, I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus. Don't know. I do know some of the folks, but don't know their company. So I'm not here to bash anybody. What I am here to say is I have a personal relationship with Mike, and he has come to me for some leadership things over the years, which he's instilled. He's a great leader, and he's probably the only guy y'all got that's a true ball player. He understands it. He understands the teaching. He understands everything it takes to make children successful out there. And although there was some problems in the past with the accounting and some things that has brought this to this light, Mike has brought this Champions Park to the forefront everywhere that it's been seen. So I'm telling you now that he needs a second chance on the contract to rebuild his trust with you, and the numbers don't lie. And it ain't a pie in the sky. He didn't get up here and give you big numbers and big pretty slides, and it's not a pie in the sky. The numbers are the numbers. He give it to you straight. And I think that's what you'll get. He's got somebody in the accounting side. I think you'll get exactly what you need. I tell you, as a contract, and you all know this, you get a contract together, you hold someone accountable. I think he's there. He has learned, he has grown, and he's ready to be successful and make this city successful and make Champions Park successful. So that's what I got. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Other public comment? Welcome.
Hi, my name is Beverly Lassiter. I'm not from Alachua County. I'm from Union County, God's country. I'm just kidding. And from my experience, I was very involved with baseball and softball. I played softball in college. I also coached high school softball for years. I was president of the Babe Ruth in Union County for years. My son has played travel ball for several years now. From what my experience and what I'm here to speak of is every experience that we've had at Champions Park has been a good experience. Everyone there it's very clean. When we go to tournaments down south, like others have said, everyone always wants to come to our park. When they do come to our park, I have been there before to help, like just be standing by the gate when other teams are coming in, or just up there, you know, communicating with other people. And immediately you hear parents and you hear them telling their children, you're about to play in one of the nicest parks, you know, in the state of Florida. You have no idea. One of the other, you know, positives, we don't have to worry about rain, you know, don't have to worry about the mud. And people love to come to Newberry to play. I have experienced the softball and I have experienced the baseball. And I do agree with what other people said. Softball, the girls are tougher. They'll play 6 games a day, so we don't have to worry about the hotel, you know. They'll play all day. You can bring them in, and they will bring plenty of teams, you know. And it's a lot to do with their pitching arm as well, not really the toughness. But
Don't back down from that.
I will say, though, that my experience, we are familiar with your city of Newberry now because of coming over and playing. We've eaten in your restaurants. There was plenty of stuff I didn't know till I was here. I didn't even know where this building was much, but I did. But so much has been brought to our attention, and there's several people that do come from our area, several people that come from Mayo, from Lake City, all over just to come here, and they've learned so much about your beautiful city and so much about the park. just because of what Mike Spina has done. And to bring the beautification of it. You will never go there and you will never see sunflower seeds laying around. You will not see things nasty. They take care of the park. They're constantly out there mowing it on their own time and doing everything possible that they can. So in closing, I just would like to say that I do believe they do a great job, and I believe that they bring the city of Newberry out to the surrounding communities to get people to come. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the kind words about our community. Other public comment? Give you just another second to build up the courage. Okay. Seeing no public comment, we'll close the public floor and we will enter into deliberations back with the commission. If any commissioner has any further questions about the presentations, comments that they'd like to make, now would be the appropriate time to do so. Commissioner Martin.
This actually was more directed to staff and where we were on the tank project or the cages.
Mr. Mayor, the water tank project is underway. The tank is on site. Water system's out of service. There was, how long? 2 days? 2 days we'll be back in service. We have to go through some permitting with FDEP to get the bacteriological samples cleared, so we're maybe a week from having the water system back in operation. The batting cages are complete with the exception of artificial turf. I saw that bid proposal. I guess staff has prepared the RFP. I don't think it's been issued yet, but we anticipate it being issued shortly. We are looking at that. I think with the tank, that takes us, and the carpet, we'd have about $20,000 left in our the funds that were available to do additional capital projects. I think the next items on the list are some additional fencing to help direct visitors to the right places for gatekeepers and potential bleachers, seating, those types of things. So we're very close to spending the rest of our money, and the county is very good at prompting us about, hey guys, let's get this thing closed out.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner? Any other questions, comments from the dais for any of the presenters or staff? Yeah, Commissioner Martin. I think Commissioner Hurston's formulating one down there, so go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to hear from staff going through reference checks, insurance checks, anything that was done on the proposals that you wanted to bring to our attention.
Well,
Not knowing how detailed you got either, but
well, yeah, personally, the way we did it was rather we had a 5 or 6 person team, 5-person team, I believe. So rather than have every reference have to respond to 5 different persons with questions, we divvied them up. Each one of us took a proposal and called those contacts, and then we shared it with the team in our public meeting. And from what we shared, everyone scored their proposal based on that feedback. So I think the general consensus was that when we contacted, when we were able to make contact with folks, they generally had good things to say, as you would expect references included in a proposal, spoke to professionalism. Some of the proposals were this reference can tell you about our business savvy, this reference can tell you about our sports management, and this reference can tell you about how we've done with tournaments. Others were more generic, and these are references that just we know all together, and I think one was just this person knows me to be someone of good character. But I think that all of the references that we received were generally positive.
Commissioner Hurston, did you get that question formed in your mind?
This might be a general question to staff, and then maybe the applicants specifically who proposed some of this. You know, there were several proposals that talked about, and presentations that talked about, I would guess, capital improvements and infrastructure improvements at the facility. What's that cost structure going to look like? Is that going to be on the city? Is that going to be coming out of the the city fees that they are paying in on an annual basis, or is that going to be the operator's expenses?
Well, the fees that are paid to the city, as one of the presenters noted, is the city can't make a profit, so we put them into an earmarked fund. It's intended to go more towards replacement and renewal, anticipated replacement of the carpet, at some point the indoor carpeted areas, the indoor turf, infield turf, or the nets. We have netting, backstops, or fresh coat of paint, or new shingled roofs. There's actually a lot of roof area out there. We don't anticipate using those funds for new capital improvement. We refinanced the bonds a couple years ago, and out of that refinancing, the city rounded up with just over $300,000 in funds that were spent on projects. Most notably was the replacement of all the wood fences with chain link fences. So the city undertook that project, I think, in 2016. I believe is right at $160,000. So batting cages are part of that. The water system, water tank replacement project that's underway right now. And so we're now down to that last amount of money. But we do not have a revenue source identified for new capital projects. That would be something that we would talk with the park operator about, get a list, and then the commission would have some discretion about the renewal and replacement fund as to whether we might say, all right, 10% or 20%, or we may turn around and approach the Alachua County Tourist Development Council to see if we could get a recommendation from them for new money.
Just one last question then. How many years do we have left on our contract with the county?
Well, the funding has been paid off. So there is no monies due. The bonds have been paid off. The city now owns the park outright. However, our contract with the county in terms of legal responsibility for heads in beds and tournaments and those types of things extends through 2025, if I'm correct. So these types of, it doesn't mean we can't ask for funding before 2025. It just means we'll have a reporting requirement to the county, and we'll have a minimum number of reports and a minimum number of heads and beds until 2025. I think that Reed we have gotten from the county is they paid off our bonds because they wanted to move forward with the Alachua County Fairgrounds project, and they needed every cent of bed tax to make that happen. So the read we're getting is until we figure out how the fairgrounds is going to go and establish more funding beyond what's going to go for the fairgrounds, don't bother asking because we don't have funding.
So then after that 7-year period, though, all things being equal, we'll have no commitment to the county, and if we would not ask for another cent, we wouldn't have any commitment to the county in terms of reporting, heads and beds and things like that, and we would be free to do with the facility whatever we want.
That is correct.
Reap any benefit that we would like.
That is correct.
Does that conclude your questions? Yep. Thank you. Commissioner Glanzer?
There was a bid committee that you had, and can you tell the public what the ranking was, the results of that committee, or is that public record?
Yes, I can, but I may have to refresh my memory.
And the committee was based of citizens?
No, ma'am. The committee was staff. It was our Planning and Economic Development Director. It was our Parks and Facilities Director, who also spends time being our Utility and Public Works Director. It's our Recreation Director, our Director of Finance and Administration, and myself. So we all evaluated. I don't recall the specific scores. The same scoring criteria that you have tonight is the exact same that we utilized. And when we completed Dallas, the top-ranked firm was the highest.
Just let
firm.
Dallas come
I'd
up
let
here
Dallas
so we get it
answer
right.
that. He'll know it better than me.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners. The ranking committee ranked RAD Sports first, Athletic Competitive Recreation second, and Champions Park third.
Do you remember the point spread?
I do not. I'm trying to find it, but I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay. Commissioner Glanzer, was that?
That was it.
That's it. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Manager?
well, I think that that was a really good point to be made. And I would also note for the public and the City Commission's edification that the RFP document clearly specifies that ranking got 3 firms to this stage, but that it wiped the slate clean, and this board will now consider each presentation based upon its own merits and the RFP document. You have latitude in who you think would be the best operator for this park.
Okay, if there's no further questions or comments from the dais, Commissioner Glanzer, you've got one bouncing in there.
I don't know how to start this, but we had to terminate the contract with Champion Sports at one time, and I know this is a hard subject, but I just want to understand it because it worries me that we'll have these problems again, and I just don't want to, have to tell the citizens, well, that didn't work before. How are we going to get through that? Maybe somebody can help me, because it's not personal. It's just the fact that this did happen. That contract was terminated for specific reasons, and I just want some. I know it's a wonderful program he has, and everybody spoke so highly, and I too, I love Mike Spina, but this is one thing that I need to clear up in order to vote.
I'll take a shot at the answer to that question. I think the first and foremost thing that the commission needs to keep in mind is that the proposed motion would be to authorize staff with whoever you rank first. So a lot of those issues, so no one is going to walk out of here tonight with the contract. Someone is going to walk out here with the first shot to negotiate the contract. And then if that fails, staff will notify you. They'll immediately move to the second person that you guys rank. So I think a lot of those contractual questions can be answered in those negotiations. So those types of questions, this was the issue we had before. How do we reconcile that? That would be the appropriate time to work out those issues. Does that do a fair job of answering the question?
Can you respond to that question?
No, not yet. You can. You'll have another chance for public comment before it's over. But I have to stick to the agenda now. But don't write it down, Tripp, so you don't forget it. Okay. Any other questions from the dais? Questions, comments from the dais? Okay. Hearing none, what I would like to do, and I know it's difficult when you have a chamber full of people looking at you, but I want every commissioner to be absolutely sure about the scorecards that you're about to fill out. So the first presentation was over an hour ago. You've got your score cards on the working sheet for that, and you've got your notes. I want you to take all the time you feel like you need to go through those working sheets, and then be sure that you're transcribing over to the final sheets the score that you feel comfortable with. We are not asking you to tally those. We've got two people who will have two calculators that will tally those, but we do need to make sure that by the time you pass it down, you're comfortable with those score sheets. Remember, I need you to sign both the working score sheets, your notes, and the final sheet. There's a place for your signature and the evaluation. You'll pass both of them in. If you could separate those up for us, that would probably be good. While the commission takes their time doing that, I would just ask the chamber to talk quietly amongst yourselves so they can focus and make sure they're transcribing the numbers over the way that they would like. Perfect time to use the restroom if you need to. But again, I don't want anybody to feel like they're being rushed. And Judy, before you guys leave, could you confirm that everything has been signed? Maybe Mike could confirm that everything's been signed on the working and that they haven't left anything blank.
Mr. Mayor, is there going to be any other question? I need to.
Well, after, yeah, go ahead. As soon as we pass everything there, we're going to be taking a 10-minute recess. Well, you can go ahead and get a head start, and I'm sure there's going to be a line. Amari, if you could go ahead and cue up the clock to put 10 minutes on it for the recess for us, and it'll be an approximate 10 minutes. Don't start the clock, Amari. Just get it ready for us to go, if you would. Okay, folks, the city clerk has all of the tabulations. She will now, along with our finance director, take those ballots to her office to calculate the results. We will, at this point, have a 10-minute recess, and then we will reconvene. And now, Amari, please start that clock.
See, Rick, how many people you make happy with those? Mine too. Log rolls. Oh, but they were orange. Okay, yeah, I know what those are. Yeah, hard. Freeze out, but I had to go get a sweatshirt. It's still cold. See, I already have my season tickets for volleyball and for, not softball, they've torn the stadium apart, they're rebuilding it. No, I don't believe they're doing, I don't think so. No, but I think they may be putting some stands up at where that section where they put some of the temporarily, that section, or right there, they put some up there. But there's not a lot of room there before you hit the sidewalk. They're adding seating, the two berms will go away, so that'll be seating. Probably not. Huh? Softball, they tore apart the day after we finished the season. good faith. Well, Martin knows she has good faith. He eats there more often than I do.
Mike, can you go check on our tower, see if they need a couple more minutes or we're almost ready? 2 minutes, folks. We've just been given the 2 minutes.
2-minute warning.
Well, that didn't mean you had to stop talking. Y'all were having a good time here. I was just telling you how much longer you had to wait. But. Okay, while we're waiting for the sheets to come back in, I'll just remind folks that we're going to announce how the rankings happen, and then we will have deliberations by the commission and work towards a motion. Once we have that motion on the floor, then we'll take public comment again. So that's what the opportunity for the public comment. All right, folks. The city clerk are you going to announce the results, or is Dallas going to announce the results? Okay, thank you. If you would, please, in the chamber, hold comments until we get all the announcements out and the deliberations have occurred. Madam Clerk, whenever you are ready. Would you like me to, did you give me the wrong sheet? Yeah, that's all right.
Good evening. The results of the request for proposals number 2018-06 for professional management service for Champions Park are as follows. Athletic, competitive, and recreational sports management, 354. Champions Park of Newberry, Florida, Inc., 388. And Rad Sports, 408, for a total of 1,150. Our top firm is Rad Sports. Second firm, Champions Park of Newberry, Florida, Inc., and third firm, Athletic, Competitive, and Recreational Sports Management.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Commission. You got the rankings. Floor is open for questions or comments, or if someone wants to make a motion, the proposed motion is on the extended agenda. Commissioner Hersom?
Motion to approve the ranking of the respondents for Champions Park Professional Management Services, RFP, as follows. Rad Sports as the top firm, Champion Sports as the second firm, and ARC as the third firm. And to authorize staff to negotiate a contract with the top-ranked firm, bring it back to the City Commission for approval, and if negotiations should fail, staff will notify the City Commission and begin negotiation with the second-ranked firm, and we will continue that until a contract is agreed upon and approved by the City Commission.
I have a motion from Commissioner Hersom, a second from Commissioner Glanzer. The floor is open to the dais for discussion and questions on the motion. Does anybody have any questions from the dais on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, does the public have any questions or comments on a motion on the floor? Now's the time. Is your microphone on there, Trip? It is now. Okay.
Is it? Just on that last there, before the vote, we had the comment on the contract, Mr. Mayor, that about the 10-year, the contract, you know, they had to revoke it, but I just wanted to remind everybody that was a 10-year contract, and it was revoked supposedly for us not having liability insurance, which we proved we had liability insurance for the following 3 years. So, you know, I'd like to reinstate, you know, to I know y'all had the raking system, but the commission can still vote for another thing, so we're just kind of pleading for maybe another motion. I know that has to be voted on the floor, but also to be looked at before again. And like I said, you know, at the end of the day, me personally, it ain't gonna make a whole lot of difference, but I watched Mike and his family turn that thing around, work their butt off, and it's been a success, and they've made it a whole lot better. The only reason I got in it originally at all was just try to make it better for Newberry. We were doing the town square, we wanted to see it work good, and you know, like I said, me and Mike, I put some money in it right off the bat. Mike has been really tight with the management on the money, and did better than I thought he would do. And the number one thing we was wanting to see it for the Newberry. Me personally, it doesn't matter. I thought the contract was pulled. You know, I didn't think it was right. I had 2 or 3 lawyers tell me we ought to sue on it. I said, man, I live in Newberry. I ain't suing over the deal. But we'd sure like to see y'all, you know, look at it and stay with Mike. And you got a proven success. We heard the big spiel with Pursuti off the front end of that deal, that what all he was going to do. And we saw what happened for 3 years. And then we've seen what's happened on the last 3 years. And, you know, we had an audit during the blackout period, I guess, when they did the audit review here that was 2017. And, you know, it's just kind of seeing the way whole deal's been set up. Just didn't seem quite right to me. But I just implore the commission, you know, like I said, I know y'all did the ranking system, but that don't mean that's the way you got to vote, unless I'm wrong on that now. Mr. Mayor, if you tell me. So, you know, I would sure like to see the commission to vote against that motion, and I'd like to see a second motion on the floor, hopefully, that maybe we could get a yes vote for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we have a motion properly seconded. Any further comment from the dais? Commissioner Martin?
I just wanted to kind of make some general comments. I don't think most people are going to necessarily go through in a couple of weeks to try to search down the records or anything like that. I did not have my rankings this way. When I put it through, I actually had Champions first for my rankings. Really, my philosophy there was I felt that Champions, being the incumbent, kind of had the biggest bar to reach. And what it boiled down to for me really was I didn't think that Champions had the ramp-up period that the other 2 contenders would have. So I felt like there was some definite positive there. And when I had to think about, you know, what was the issue with Champions and losing the contract to begin with, it was really about the accounting piece. I thought everything else that Champions did was done well, and I'd like to think that was kind of a learning experience. So I didn't really want to throw the baby out with the bathwater as far as that goes. I was willing to go back with Champions because of primarily those reasons, and I thought that ACR, I thought y'all had the best proposal. I thought it was the most professional presentation by far. I thought your challenges coming into it were some of the equipment, logistics, and maybe that it was a little bit more than y'all could chew. As far as RAD Sports, I thought basically you and ACR were kind of about equal as far as that, and both having a little bit longer of a ramp-up period in my mind. I don't think that the city can necessarily afford that at the time. I really wanted to kind of try to maintain the momentum that we had with Champions, and hopefully just try to get the bridge back and get us pointing in that better direction.
Commissioner Coleman?
I really appreciate every one of y'all being out here tonight. I mean, doing this has got to be tough on y'all, too. I, too, wholeheartedly support Champion. They've worked hard out there to get it where it needed to be. It was close with RAD Sports, and I'm very close with both of them. But Mike Spina has shown that he's going to do whatever it takes to get this back on track, and I feel that he needs another chance here. He's brought in probably one of the toughest managers you could bring in. We're frenemies, and I know she doesn't stop with a no, and that's what he needed. And with the firm that they brought in is top notch for all the accounting stuff. So I wasn't really keen on how the ranking thing went here, but either way, was my top choice.
Any other questions or comments from the dais? Okay, we'll go ahead and roll call. Commissioner Coleman, the motion on the floor is to authorize staff to negotiate with the top ranked.
Nay.
Commissioner Herson.
Yay.
Commissioner Farnsworth.
Yay.
Commissioner Martin.
No.
Commissioner Glanzer. Motion passes 3-2. And at this point, I would say that remember that the staff is going to enter into negotiations with the top ranked firm. Should those negotiations fail, then staff is authorized to notify the commission and immediately move to the number 2, which would be Champions. Any final comments? Commissioner Herson?
Yeah, I just want to iterate, we agreed to this procedure, and so that's, I think if citizens had questions or concerns about the procedure and what we were going to do about it, or how we were going to conduct that, they need to outline those specifically. Bring them forward. Otherwise, I was bought into the procedure. We all had an equal voice to be able to say that, and we all had an opportunity to rank those how we saw fit, and then they were, aggregated, and that's the way it came out. And so that was why I voted in favor of the motion, was to adhere to the procedure.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, we'll move to the comment section of the meeting. Commissioner Coleman, do you have any final comments?
Yeah, I do. I guess y'all can tell I don't hide my emotions very well, but I mean, besides the reporting side of this, it's just unfortunate, because I really believe that he was going in the right direction. And with that, though, congratulations, y'all. And if this is the way it works out, you're going to have my 100% support. Okay?
Commissioner Herson?
No.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
No.
Commissioner Martin?
No, I respect the process as well. It's the will of the commission be done at this point, and I agree. If we come to an agreement with RAD Sports, you all would definitely have my 100% support as well.
Commissioner Glanzer?
And I just want to say, in a small community, it's so hard to make these decisions. I hope this is the last one like this we have to make. I want to congratulate RAD Sports, but I want to tell all of you thank you for your presentations, and I hope the community can come together and heal over this. It's been very difficult, but I appreciate everybody's efforts, and thank you. for the procedure.
And I didn't mean to take staff out of the loop of comments. Mr. Manager, do you have a comment?
No, Mr. Mayor, no comments.
Madam Clerk? Mr. Attorney? Okay. I would also just like to thank Champions for what you guys did for Newberry. It was truly an amazing thing to pull Champions from where it was when you guys took over, and it would go remiss to have this moment without thanking you guys for that. You know, I think that we will work through these first negotiations, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But I don't want you guys to walk out here without hearing that gratitude from me, anyway, personally. And with that, we'll open up for public comment.
Bonnie Hauser, citizen. I know this was a tough decision for you guys, and I respect the process also. I just want you three that have agreed on this to remember why you were even put in this position to begin with. When you have a contract, especially with another government entity, you have to have your T's crossed and your I's dotted. So as tough as this is, and in a small community, it is really tough. I think you guys made the right decision. So from one citizen to you three, you have my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comment?
I do have a question. So as of this hour, who's the manager of Champions Park?
I'll give that to the manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Newberry is and will continue to be the manager of the park until we have a new manager in place.
So the 9 dates that I have under our letter of intent are going to be moved out of Newberry and taken to Lake City.
That's, we'd love to have that discussion. I think
But who could I have that discussion with?
you could have that with me or with Travis Parker, our recreation director.
Because I have a decision, I have to be locked under contract for all those by the end of this week.
We understand.
We'd love to have that conversation with you.
He'll
Okay.
be available to you immediately.
Yeah, after the meeting, if you'd like to get my
No,
contact
I'm
information.
gonna go ahead and head out, but I appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you. Other public comment? Hearing no other public comment, we are adjourned.